everybody. It's a great day to be alive because I'm sitting next to James, the great Wilson.
Yeah, the great James Wilson. Here I am, and I'm here with Jeff Sutherland.
Yeah, and today, our last session, this was kind of cool. We talked about what are some of the things you should be concerned about and ask about from your broker. You're out there interviewing brokers. What a concept, right? They're not interviewing you, but you're also interviewing them.
Yeah, it's kind of a two-way.
Yeah, it's a two-way.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about what do you do your very first day? You've actually decided on who you're going to go work with, and what do you do on day one at your brokerage? One of the things I think you should do is go actually meet the broker of the office. Do you think that might be a good idea?
Yeah, well, I mean, typically when you're going through the hiring interview process, you're oftentimes meeting with a recruiter who's not the broker.
That's right.
They may be a broker holding a broker license, but they're not generally the designated broker.
Right.
They're a managing broker or someone who has a broker's license, but actually probably gets paid to recruit agents and do interviews.
That's right. And those two jobs are very different skill sets, right? The broker has really more of a compliance role in the company.
The designated broker.
Yeah, the designated broker. And in our state, the designated broker is the person who's ultimately supervising the agents in that brokerage.
Yeah. So we want to be really, really clear. So the designated broker, there's one for your office.
That's right.
There's a designated broker there for your office, and that's the person who has those legal duty to supervise all of your activities, because you're a licensed general agent in an agency, like an insurance agency, what have you. The general agency is the model, and you're a licensee under a designated broker, and you're a captive agent to that designated broker. So everything you say and do is an extension of the designated broker. So everything that comes out of your mouth, they have to be responsible. You're writing checks, and they have to honor those checks.
That's right.
So you're making promises to the public. The designated broker is signing off saying, I approve of all that.
Absolutely. And in my case, I'm a broker, but I'm not the designated broker. And there's a lot of associate brokers out there running around in our state in particular, but in my particular company, I have to answer to the designated broker, even though I'm a broker.
Yeah, it's a good thing we're bringing this up, because you see, in the state that we're in, I'm a sales agent, and I have been a broker of my own. I was a broker in California. Mm-hmm. I was in every state's a little different. In that particular state at the time, I was a broker in California. There was no such thing as an associate broker. If you're a broker, you're a broker. Yeah. And you own all the duties and responsibilities of being your broker. And if you choose to work with another broker, that's on you. The state still said, we don't care. You're still responsible.
That's right.
Because you're a broker. Now, there is this specification of associate broker. Now, where the state we're in today, you can have the experience and have gone through the training to become an associate broker, but you're not the designated broker. There's only one designated broker, the legal person responsible to sign off on all your paperwork. So you're saying on day one, you've maybe gone through the recruiting interview, you've decided where you're going to work, and now you're going to start your first day. You should really meet the designated broker.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why, James, because we've both been doing this collectively for about 40 years, managing agents. And what I've seen so many times is agents actually have a little bit of fear if they have to go talk to the designated broker. That's the last thing you should feel, I believe. I think it's important that they know who you are. I want them to know who I am, because there'll be a time down the road, if you get into a difficult situation in a contract, they will be the ones that you're going to go to get help. I actually want them to know who I am, and they know the kind of work ethic and character that I have. So to me, it's very important that you have a relationship with your broker.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Years ago, I sold new homes.
Yeah.
And when I worked for a new home builder, they have a designated broker. And that broker actually drove around from community to community, and they would have to sign off on all the sales agreements.
That's right.
And that was our one opportunity once every 10 days to get a chance to be in a relationship. But I definitely agree. It is valuable to have open and honest dialogue and really get their philosophy on real estate, because they're looking at all the legal and the risk implications of what it is you guys are doing to conduct business.
That's right. And in fact, they're the ones that typically write what's called the broker policy manual. And in many real estate companies, there's a manual that they write in addition to the independent contractor agreement. These are things that 95% of agents don't read.
Well, I've got to tell you, almost any job I've ever had an employee manual.
Right. And do most people read those manuals?
Well, they do reluctantly their first day, because Circle K or Papa John's Pizza or wherever you're working says, go read the manual. Well, you can't even get near a customer till you've verify you've read the manual. But that's kind of what you're saying. There's a policy and procedures manual. Like, this is the way our designated broker will allow us to conduct business.
Yeah, that's right. And many times you're going to go back to that manual when you're in a situation, you're not going to know what to do. And the broker's going to say, did you read your broker policy manual?
Wait. So you're telling me I don't just go to the Facebook group to ask the question? I should go look at the manual?
Yeah, and as a guy that's managed thousands of agents, what I try to get people to do, James, is discover how to be resourceful, right? Where can you go get the information? So that manual is really key, and you're learning how to do real estate the right way.
So it's not just, hey, you can go to Google. You can always do that.
Right.
It's not just go to YouTube and see what the latest, media person is saying. It's what is your designated broker? Again, you're a captive agent under that designated broker. How do they want you to handle the depositing of earnest money? How do they want you to handle the review of an agency disclosure? How do they want you to work out a pre or post possession agreement?
Yep.
What is their feeling and how you are to conduct? Because you're an extension of them, the broker.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's 100%. Every night they go to bed and they realize that they have the actions of all of their agents and they're over all of their agents.
Yeah, so if you're the designated broker, you got 3,000 agents that you're responsible for, you may not get much sleep.
Right? Exactly. And in the case of the independent contractor agreement, I can't tell you how many times over the years people have decided to leave a brokerage, and then we have to go back and go, hey, you need to read your independent contractor agreement because there's severance restrictions and things like that they put in, and penalties and whatnot. So you always kind of have to look out and see those things because it's going to come back to you at some point. You're going to have to read it at some point.
Okay, I got to clarify this. Now, you said severance, like severance pay. So you mean when I leave someone, they're going to owe me money? Or what are you saying?
No.
I think what you're trying to say is, as an independent contractor, you have a statement of work. And you have an agreement in writing that's required by your state that your broker have with you as the independent contractor.
That's right.
That says what you will and won't do. And when you decide to exit this business partnership, there are certain notifications. Maybe there's an exit interview. In many cases, there's an actual specification on how your current escrows are going to close out, how you're going to get paid on those.
Yes.
Are there fees associated with you leaving early? Are you going to keep working the file even though you've moved on to another broker? Oh, absolutely not. That's not allowed.
Yep.
Do you get no commission? Do you get partial commission? So that's what I think you're saying.
Yeah, it's worth spending an hour or two in your career to read these documents.
Well,
you started a company and you're operating under these guidelines, it's a good idea to read them.
Well, not only that, I think, quite honestly, you need to read them about once a year.
Yeah.
Because if you work for your company, like some people work for their company 30 years, the same broker.
Yep.
Some people will move from broker to broker to broker every 3 to 6 months because somehow they think it's going to be different. And what they don't always understand is, again, like you said, you're a captive agent to this designated broker, and they're conducting business with the public. And so as much as, say, I went out and met with a buyer or seller and I'm working with them, the designated broker is actually who they're working with.
That's right.
I'm just their extension. I'm their representative, but they're doing business with the broker. So if I leave, they're still doing business with the broker, even though I've left. And that's why it's real important to know. And if I need to write a check back because I'm leaving early, or I've left a mess of an escrow and somehow someone's got to take over that file, they've got to get paid somehow.
Yep, that's how they get paid.
So all these things are really important. Instead of this, well, I didn't know I was going to have to pay. Hey, you're an adult. You're going into business and you're starting a business.
That's right.
There's a partnership agreement. Go read it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you activated your license under this broker.
Yeah.
You met your broker. You're like, actually, I'm going to read that independent contractor agreement and that broker policy manual.
The policy manual, for sure.
So then the next thing I would do is, I'm a big believer in the power of association, James,
Okay.
right? That's why I hang out with you, man. I want to be better, right? So,
well, you're going to be great if you're with the great James.
That's right. So why would it be a bad idea to go, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Broker, I'd like to meet some of the top agents at this company. I'd like to go take them to lunch or take them to coffee.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to meet them. Do you think that would be a good idea?
Well, it's so good that you go and even if it's just pick their brain, go to lunch, grab coffee, get into some dialogue, because I will tell you that even after 90 days or 6 months or even a year, if you were to look back, you could say, okay, what advice would you give day one person versus, day 5 or day 40 or year 5, right? So you want the hack, you want the shortcut. get your top people and interview them and find out what's the fast track to a payday. That's kind of what you want.
Absolutely, man. There's a guy that was named Charlie Tremendous Jones, and he said the person you are 5 years from now is no different from the people that you hang around with and the books that you read.
Charlie Tremendous
Jones. He was a great motivational speaker.
Wow, I'm going to check it out.
And man, it was so good. And the power of association is everything. There's an economic law. I think it was Jim Rohn that said this, that the 5 people you hang out with,
I've heard that a lot. Yeah.
You average their income. So start thinking about who's in your inner circle. Who are your go-to people? Who are you going to really go to for accountability and things like that to get mentoring? That is so big.
So you're saying if the 5 people I've been hanging with in real estate school are all got a full-time job and they're going to dabble part-time in real estate, if those are my 5 circle,
yep,
I'm going to average being broke like them. Versus if I surround myself with the top 5 people in my new company,
that's right,
maybe I can really raise the bar and really get my skills up faster.
That's right. Every single month I try to take somebody out to lunch that's so much better than me. I try to put myself into discomfort because there's no growth in comfort.
Yeah,
So
well, I love that.
You're always going to be needing to learn from somebody that's better, and that's the idea of getting around better agents. It's going to uplift you, right?
Yeah.
If the person you're hanging around with the most, the biggest accomplishment they had was maybe they were the prom queen back in 1988, and they've done nothing since, you might have an issue.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, when I'm coaching and mentoring agents, I just did this last week with a gentleman who just got his license. And my team, we do call night. 1 night a week, we do calls.
Nice.
More like call afternoon, but same thing.
That's good.
And I said, here, I want you to call these 5 people. He's like, oh my gosh, what do I say? I just want you to like get over your fear of the phone. And these are the things like these top people can work with you on. What are the little soft skills that you need to get over so you can really jump in full force? So I love that idea.
Right, and wouldn't it be nice to know some of the mistakes of those that have gone before us?
Oh my gosh. Like, why do I need to go take all the arrows? Custer already did that, right?
Exactly.
I don't need to go through it.
Yeah, collaboration at its best right there.
Yeah, so think of this, again, business partnership. These are the people you're partnering with. You're going to be in business with them. Every listing that the top guy takes in your office, that's another opportunity for you to bring a buyer. So you want to get to know them.
Yep. The next thing we want to talk about is James and I really care about the long game with you. We want you to be very effective in the short term, but we also want you to have a career worth having, right? So one of the things we'd recommend is look at the training calendar. You need to ask them, can I see your training calendar?
Training calendar?
Yeah. And if they go, what's a training calendar? That might be a concern.
Well, especially when you're new. And a lot of people kind of go, from my experience, they go, well, wait a minute. I just got my license and I passed the baby bar and the state says I'm an expert. What do you mean I need to go to more training?
Yeah. Well, of course, you learned how to pass a test.
Maybe, if you're lucky, you learn how to pass a test.
Yeah.
You learn multiple guesses and you made it through.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is, again, this drill for skill and how do you maintain and really grow. You're starting a whole new career.
That's right.
You're getting into a business that you've never done before.
That's right.
And you have the ability to make millions of dollars.
Yep.
You want to get paid like a professional athlete, you need to put in the practice.
You got to put in the work.
Now, if the team you join has no training calendar, they never scrimmage, they never practice, they don't hike the ball, they don't say this is a football, they don't show you how to lace your cleats, I don't know how you're going to get there.
It's tough because you'd have to go to a third party to get it. And if you're resourceful, and I always say you're the X factor in the business, right? If you want something bad enough and your big why is big enough, you will figure it out, right? But it makes it a heck of a lot harder if you have to go outside and search around for help.
Yeah, if you're thick-skinned, big-horn rhino, you're going to make it. You're going to power through it. But this business is so much fun, and it's so much easier than you realize.
Yeah.
But you need the training. And so make sure, again, that you do review the training calendar. For me, I absolutely want you to start getting time blocking, and we'll talk about that more.
Yep.
You got to take that training calendar and make it fit into your life.
That's right. And start to think about what's your preferred style. Some people prefer visual learning. Some people prefer kinesthetic learning, which is basically hands-on.
Right.
Adults typically learn with visual or kinesthetic learning, so they learn by doing. So is the training something that you're going to be doing live stuff with? Like, for example, James has this amazing training. He does open house training where he trains his agents to come in and he shows them how to do open houses with real people that come in. I mean,
real live
it doesn't
people.
get any better than that.
Yeah. So again, I believe in classroom and in laboratory, right? So, we do classroom training. We've got a lot of our stuff has been pre-recorded. It's in the cloud. It's available 24 hours a day. That's amazing. However, you need to implement. You need to come show and demonstrate your ability to do the skills. And we do this every single week. We do, team open houses, and we're training all the time.
Yep. The other thing is, I immediately start looking for an accountability partner, because in real estate, it's so easy. Yes, it's so easy.
Did you say accountability partner?
Yeah, I know. It's a strange word, isn't it?
You mean my wife yelling at me to go to work is not really an accountability partner?
Yeah, and by the way, one of the worst accountability partners is your partner.
Maybe.
Life.
Doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
My wife is an amazing accountability partner.
Yeah.
She is amazing. If the sun is out, she says, "What are you doing home?"
Yeah.
So she's amazing. It just looks different than I want it to look.
Yeah, right.
I mean, she is really so amazing, and at the same time, she's not in the business.
That's right.
And she doesn't understand all the nuances of getting 100 people to hang up on you a day on your phone calls.
Absolutely.
So in her mind, it's a little different than if she was doing the work. She might have a little bit different empathy and a different perspective on what we've been going through all day.
Yeah. In general, people struggle with holding themselves accountable.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay? So we have to seek somebody out, somebody that's going to be brutally honest with us, right? James and I had this conversation today.
Yeah.
People really struggle with honesty sometimes.
Oh
right?
my gosh. Yeah.
I always tell people this script, James, is funny. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being a bald-faced liar and 10 being brutally honest, how honest would you like me to be?
Okay.
And of course they're like, Jeff, give it to me, give me a 10, right? And sometimes they're not quite ready for a 10, right?
Well, sadly, no one really is living a life of 10
Right.
in the honesty
That's
because
true.
there's the way we judge ourselves versus the rest of the world.
Yep.
And so there's oftentimes this perception, like I can have a perception that I made calls for 2 hours today. But if I'm not actually tracking physically the number of calls I make or the dials I make or the number of conversations I get into or how many times do I ask for an appointment, I can feel like, well, I was on the phone for 3 hours, so I crushed it. And when I go look at the actual data, I may have made 5 or 6 calls. And I may have only talked to 3 people and maybe only even asked one person to meet. So in 3 hours where I may have felt like, oh, I've worn out from 3 hours on the phone, I really only had one ask for an appointment.
Yeah, right.
It's sad.
It's interesting. We judge ourselves by our intentions and we judge others by their actions.
Yeah, for sure.
That's life, right?
Yeah.
So you're out there talking to these great agents, hopefully, in your brokerage. And then what I want you to start thinking about is who's that person that's going to be your accountability partner? Start thinking about who's that person that you think can really hold you accountable and be tough on you and be objective and be there for you on a daily basis.
Yeah, now I know a leadership class we went to, the way they like to have you pick your accountability partner is pick someone you have a judgment with. Somebody who you really have made a decision that you need to, I wouldn't necessarily say a confrontation, but you really are passionate about wanting to make a point with them.
Yep.
Because you really don't have, you've disconnected, you don't care.
Yeah.
If they get mad at you. That's what you want. Someone that cares enough about you to be honest with you to a fault, to say, hey, you said you want this. Like, let's say you wanted to lose weight. How would we know you want to lose weight? Because we put you on the scale and we say, is the number going down?
Yep.
You could say you want to lose weight all week long, but if you never work out, you don't eat right or follow good nutrition, you're gaining weight, then you really don't want to lose weight.
That's right.
Because we're measuring the result.
That's right.
Not the intention.
That's right. And I can't wait. One of these episodes, we have to share those stories.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
My judgment story at that same leadership camp that we've both gone to changed my life. I can't wait to share it in a future episode.
So get an accountability partner. It's really critical. You can have your spouse, but at the very beginning, I'd rather you not. I'd rather you get somebody in the business day to day where you can be checking in every day and get support from and just collaborate with and bounce ideas off of and really keep you focused on the right track.
Absolutely. Next step. Now, we have this thing called the association in real estate.
What?
So, yeah, you're part of a trade organization. And when you go get your license, the first thing that you're going to need to do to become a realtor, because not all real estate licensees are realtors, in order to become a trademarked realtor, you are going to be joining an association.
Okay.
So that means there's about 3 of them out there. There's a National Association of Realtors. You've probably heard of that association. And there's typically a state association. And then there's also sometimes even a local association. So when you pay those dues, you're actually paying to be a part of those different associations that advocate for realtors.
Well, they say that. I mean, they go by different names. They call themselves the board. Have you joined the board?
That's right.
Like the school board. Yeah, you have to join. And this is kind of this is the secrets that you don't find out about when you paid your Groupon coupon for $300 to go to real estate school.
That's right.
Remember, we talked earlier, it's $1,500 to $2,000 to become an actual realtor.
That's right.
Because not only do you have to take the test and pay the fees, but then you have to join this association.
Yep.
So this is critical, and you can't call yourself a realtor unless you're a member of the National Association.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just a licensee.
Right. And one key difference between just being a licensee and being a realtor is we subscribe to a thing called the Code of Ethics. The Code of Ethics. What do you know about that document, James?
I know way more than I wish I did, because it's a requirement for continuing education and licensing to revisit the Code of Ethics and how we're going to work ethically. And we just actually had a change in our Code of Ethics at the national level just in the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
And it is important to feel and know that you are part of a collective group that has these basic agreements to work together, because if someone has a listing and they represent the seller and I bring the buyer, then we need to have trust that we're negotiating in good faith, that we're having communications that are forthright and honest, even though we are negotiating against each other.
That's right.
So the Code of Ethics is really critical.
Yeah, I actually am soon to be approved to teach that class in the state.
Okay.
For continuing education.
Okay.
I'm really excited about
Well,
that.
I filed ethics complaints on other agents. Maybe we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
absolutely. We
yeah.
can talk about that in future episodes.
Right. So the board or the association, you're going to become a member of that. And then after that, it's important to be a member and actually get a login for your local MLS.
So wait a minute. I got to write another check to become a member of a computer system?
Yes. The multiple listing service.
Okay, yeah, that's what it's about, the multiple listing service.
Yeah, so that's where we actually can see what's on the market and all these homes that are being marketed by realtors that are a member of the boards.
Okay, so I got to write a check to join the association.
Yes.
I got to write a check to join the National Association. And now you say I need to write a check to join the multiple listing.
Yes, sir.
What else is left?
Roger that.
I don't think I'm done.
You're not. There's a few other fees in there.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Website, things, things
Oh,
like that.
business cards,
Business
marketing
card.
material.
Yeah.
You know what? The lockbox. You might need a lockbox.
Yeah. And those will run you at least $100 if you get a brand new one.
And you might need a piece of software to access the lockbox.
Yep,
you can
right.
pay monthly or yearly, however they set it. So, yeah, there's a lot of fees.
Yeah. So budgeting actually becomes a kind of an important thing when becoming a realtor.
So day one, reviewing your finances,
Yep.
or look at the business plan. What else you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to have some reserves. There's different schools of thoughts on that. I mean, some people have come to the business and they have reserves, and that's a good thing. But sometimes when you don't have a lot of money, that's pretty motivating too.
How many reserves do you recommend people have? When
You know,
you're mentoring and coaching people, what do you say?
I'm a Dave Ramsey guy. I think it's important to have 6 months of
6
emergency
months.
reserve.
Yeah.
I do. And James, in all my years, I've seen some of the most amazing agents start their career and they didn't get a closing until maybe month 3 or 4. And they were
Okay.
doing everything right.
Yeah.
It's just at the very beginning, sometimes it's hard to tell. You can't always equate the activities to the results. You can in the long run, but in the short term, it's very arbitrary.
Well, I think the whole point that we've said even from the first episode, you are an independent contractor. You're starting a business. You're trying to taxi down the runway to get up in the air. And if you were a restaurant or you were any other business, it could take 3 to 5 years to break even.
That's right.
So to even imagine you're going to be profitable in less than 6 months is a little crazy.
Yeah, and I think that I think our philosophy is we can help you out no matter what, whether you have an emergency fund or maybe you're even a part-time person. That's how I started the business, right? And you know what? I have a heart for people that start out part-time because you can actually business, and we have a whole strategy on how to do that and come out of that. So there's different ways to do it.
I had such an amazing start. My emergency fund was all the change in the ashtray of my car. It was an emergency, man. Let me tell you, that was an emergency fund. And I was really driving a cab on the weekends so that I could have money to really make it to work. And then I gave plasma for gas money.
Yeah.
So 6 months of reserves would be a luxury. First world problems with you people.
I know,
6 months
right?
reserves.
Yeah. See, my problem, James, is when I started in 2002, I left a Fortune 500 company.
Right.
I got a pretty decent severance package.
Look at these guys.
My first stop at new home sales was down in Casa Grande, Arizona.
Yeah.
And the first day I was there, they had people picketing the models with toxaphene signs saying there was toxaphene in the soil. So people were not coming by. I was getting maybe 1 or 2 people coming in to see the models a week.
So reserves were critical in that environment.
My reserves were dwindling every week.
Yeah.
Until I had to make a change and go to a new community. And we talked about new homes in a previous segment.
Yeah. So I'm like just trying to get started, giving plasma for gas money to put in my cab to have money to make it for appointments.
Plasma.
And I start out showing rentals. So, you can start anyway. It's a little more comforting when you have reserves. I definitely encourage people to have them, but it's not a reason not to start.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. So there's different things there. And, we just want you to know in the first couple days, we're trying to give you guys some actionable stuff, right?
Yeah.
Some stuff that you can do the first couple days. And as we go through this progression, we're going to take you through week 1, week 2, all the way out to a whole year. We're going to teach you how to be a high producing agent in 1 year. How does that sound?
That sounds great to me, especially if I'd have had someone walk me through what do I need to do pre-licensing before I ever go to real estate school, all the way up to I finished my first year, I've sold 100, 200 homes, whatever I want to do. That would be very helpful.
Right on. Stay tuned for our next episode.
Yeah, we'll see you guys.